You give too much. You're too available. And for that, you are ignored. In a world of endless options, the overexposed are overlooked. But what if I told you there is a way to make people chase you, think of you, and even obsess over you, without ever begging for attention? Today, I will reveal to you the 5 laws of scarcity, Machiavellian principles that transform your absence into desire and your silence into power. In my time, princes lost kingdoms not by cruelty, but by generosity. They were too present, too eager, too common. And so, the people drunk on familiarity turned their eyes elsewhere. Power, my friend, is never taken from the visible. It is taken from the one who dares to vanish at the height of desire. In this lesson, I will teach you the art of strategic scarcity, the kind that enslaves hearts, bends minds, and makes even the powerful crave your presence. These are my 5 laws. Ignore them, and you will be forgotten. Master them, and you will never be ignored again. Do you want to know why your presence no longer excites them? Why your messages go unanswered, your gestures go unnoticed, and your presence, once celebrated, is now tolerated at best? It is because you have made yourself too common. You have become, in their eyes, a resource they can tap at will. There is no urgency in their response to you, no weight in your silence, because you have never made them feel the cost of your absence. And that, my dear listener, is the first fatal mistake in the game of power and obsession. You must understand, value is not intrinsic, it is assigned. And in human psychology, value is directly tied to scarcity. The rare diamond is not praised for its shine alone, but because it is hard to obtain. The throne is respected not for the chair it offers, but because few can sit upon it. And so it is with you. If you appear too often, too freely, you will be appraised like a coin that's passed through every hand. Useful, but never sacred. Appearing less does not mean disappearing. It means withdrawing with calculation. It means you must learn to vanish just as they begin to crave your presence. Not after they've grown bored of you. Not after you've overstayed your welcome. No, you must study the moment. The exact point where attention begins to rise, where curiosity turns to longing. And that is where you leave. You must abandon the stage while the applause is still rising, not when it begins to fade. Why? Because memory sharpens in absence. When you are present too long, they grow used to your voice, your mannerisms, your kindness, your brilliance. It all becomes part of the background noise. But the moment you retreat, you are no longer something they see. You become something they imagine. And imagination, unlike reality, is idealized. They will remember you not as you were, but as how they wished you were. That is far more powerful than any performance you could ever give in person. Scarcity does something else. It builds suspense, and suspense is irresistible. When they cannot predict your arrival, when they do know when you will show up, or what you will say, you become a figure of fascination. You inject uncertainty into their routine. You become the one element they cannot control, and it is human nature to obsess over what cannot be possessed. The moment you create unpredictability, you create psychological tension. And that tension keeps you alive in their thoughts, even in your absence. I have seen kings beg for the attention of those who once served them. Why? Because those servants learn to withhold. I have seen lovers betray the generous and obsess over the indifferent. Not because kindness is weakness, but because kindness without restraint becomes background noise. The truth is painful, but undeniably people are not loyal to what is available. They are loyal to what is scarce. Do not confuse this with being cold or distant. The point is not to become invisible, but to become less predictable. Limit your appearances. Make your presence feel like an event. Walk into a room as if you've been summoned by fate, not boredom. Let your silence speak louder than your words. Let them wonder where you are, who you're with, and what thoughts consume you. Let them reach for you in their minds long before they can reach for you in reality. Once you control how often they can access you, you control how deeply they value you. And if you can master this, if you can learn to retreat not in weakness, but in strategy, Then you will no longer need to chase attention. Attention will chase you. Would you like me to continue expanding Law A2? Speak less than necessary in the same style and length. Words are a dangerous currency. Most people spend them like peasants spend coins, freely, carelessly, with the naive belief that their supply is endless and their effect is harmless. But I tell you this, every word you speak chips away at your value, and those who speak without control, without restraint, unknowingly expose their minds, their desires, their fears, and worst of all, their boundaries. To become the object of obsession, you must not only be seen as rare, but also as unreadable. Familiarity comes not only through presence but through speech. The more you explain yourself, the more predictable you become. And once someone can predict you, they stop respecting you. People do not obsess over what they understand. They obsess over what they cannot define. Most believe that connection is built through sharing, through transparency. But in truth, power is built through restraint. He who talks least in the room controls the pace of the conversation. He forces others to fill the silence, to reveal themselves, to try and interpret the meaning behind his few deliberate words. You see, when you speak less, every word becomes weighted, mysterious, and deliberate. You become someone who must be interpreted, not someone who can be read like an open letter. Let me tell you what happens in silence. In silence, others begin to project. They assign meaning to your expressions, your pauses, your glances. They create stories in their minds about what you might be thinking or feeling. And these stories, they're rarely accurate, but they are always emotionally charged. That emotional charge is the seed of obsession. The less you say, the more space they have to imagine. And imagination, unlike memory, is elastic. It stretches, exaggerates, distorts. It creates myths around you, not facts. That is the power of saying less than necessary. There is also strategic danger in overtalking. Every time you speak unnecessarily, you reveal a part of your game. You give them a glimpse into your logic, your intent, your emotional state. They begin to know your rhythm, and once they know your rhythm, they can predict your moves. Once they can predict you, they can manipulate you. But when you speak little, when your words are few and controlled, you become unreadable and therefore unmovable. You rob them of the tools they need to control you. Understand this: clearing dominance is not in volume, it is in restraint. A fool argues loudly to convince. A strategist speaks softly to command. Think of the courtroom. The one who speaks last, and with the fewest, sharpest words, is often the one who controls the outcome. The same principle applies in every social situation. Speak with the weight of silence behind you, and you will cut deeper than any man shouting for attention. Even more, when you do choose to speak, you must inject ambiguity into your words. Do not answer questions directly. Do not over-explain your choices. Let them feel the need to ask again, to wonder what you meant, to replay your words in their mind long after you've left. That replay is what keeps you alive in their head. You do not need to convince them of your brilliance. You only need to make them doubt whether they fully understand you. That doubt becomes fixation. That fixation becomes obsession. It is also wise to observe how others respond to your silence. Watch who grows uncomfortable. Watch who tries to fill the silence. In those moments, you will see their insecurities bleed out. The more you say, the more you weaken your position, but the more you observe, the more you dominate the invisible field, the psychological field, where all true power is measured. So remember, words are not for expression, words are for control, and silence is for domination. If you want to make people obsessed with you, stop thinking like a beggar and start thinking like a supplier. Not just any supplier, a dealer of dopamine, of approval, of power. Your attention, your presence, your energy, these are not gifts to be handed out freely. They are substances, and when administered with precision, they are addictive. Addictive not because of their quality, but because of their timing. People become addicted not to what they always have, but to what they almost have. The rush lies in the uncertainty, in the anticipation, in the waiting. in the irregular reward that comes just when they begin to crave it most. That is how the mind forms attachment, not through abundance, but through intermittence. You must understand this psychological principle. The most powerful addictions are built through inconsistent rewards. If you give someone everything at once, your time, your affection, your availability, they may enjoy it, but they will not crave it. There is no scarcity, no suspense, no tension. And so their desire flatlines. You become reliable. And reliability, while comforting, is the death of obsession. But if you control your timing, if you give, then withdraw, appear, then vanish, you create instability. And instability is the seed of dependence. They do not know when the next hit of your energy will come, so they stay alert. They check their phone. They replay conversations. They watch for signs. You occupy their mental space not because you're always present, but because you're not. Let me offer you an example. Imagine someone gives you chocolate every single day at the same time way. Eventually, you stop thinking about it. It becomes routine. But now imagine they give it to you on Monday. Then they vanish. You wonder, where is it? You begin to miss it. Then, just as you forget, they return on Thursday, unexpectedly, unannounced, and the chocolate is even better. Now you begin to wait for it. You begin to look forward to something that no longer follows a pattern. You can't predict it. And because you can't predict it, you obsess over it. Apply this same principle to yourself. Your time should never feel guaranteed. Your presence should never be expected. Give them just enough to light the fire, then retreat and let it burn without oxygen. When they begin to gasp, you reappear, just briefly, enough to remind them that the fire still exists, but only you control the flame. This cycle of reward, withdrawal, and return is the machinery of control. Even in relationships, even in leadership, even in casual interaction, you must think this way. Ask yourself, am I giving this person too much of me too often? If the answer is yes, you are training them to undervalue. Pull back, make them feel the cold of your absence. And when you return with greater impact, greater mystery, greater allure. Never return to the exact same rhythm. Disrupt predictability. Because predictability is what ruins every great obsession. Think of the world's most powerful figures. Do they offer unlimited access? Do they respond instantly? Do they chase, explain, or remind? No. They let others orbit them. They keep people off balance. And because of that, they remain the center of attention. You too must become that center. Let your attention be the high that others crave, but only receive when you decide. Make them work for it. Make them wonder what they did right to earn it, and what they did wrong to lose it. Keep them in that emotional loop. Keep them chasing what once came easily, but now comes rarely. And always remember, it is not the quality of your attention that creates obsession. It is the timing, the interruption, the delay, the withdrawal. The world does not value what is easily touched. It does not worship what is always accessible. What is common may be used, but it is never revered. And if your goal is not simply to be liked, but to be wanted, respected, obsessed over, then you must learn the brutal art of selectivity. You must become a gate, a guarded temple, a presence that can be seen, admired, longed for, but rarely possessed. The more people can reach you, the less they see you. You vanish not through absence, but through exposure. And so, to become sacred in their eyes, you must become scarce not only in time, but in access. Your presence must feel like a privilege. Your energy must feel like a private audience. And your attention must be earned, never assumed. This is where most people destroy their own value. They believe that in order to be wanted, they must offer themselves to everyone. They smile too quickly, give too freely, agree too easily. And for that, they are remembered only vaguely, if at all. You cannot be sacred if you are available to all. That which is offered to everyone is instinctively seen as inferior. Human psychology is wired to equate exclusivity with worth. It does not matter what you offer. If everyone has access to it, it is worthless. But when you limit who enters your orbit, when you become selective in your responses, careful in your company, deliberate in your time. You elevate yourself above the crowd. You become something different, something rare. And in a world drowning in oversharing, instant replies, and constant presence, rarity becomes power. The more selective you are, the more others will project significance onto your silence. They will interpret your lack of response not as disinterest, but as superiority. They will chase your approval, not because you offered it, but because you withheld it. You must learn to deny access with elegance. You don't owe your time, your attention, your energy to anyone simply because they desire it. Your value multiplies the moment you create boundaries, and it skyrockets the moment those boundaries feel impenetrable. People always want what they cannot have, but what they almost had, what they nearly touched before it slipped away. That is what haunts them. Be unpredictable with your time. Be intentional with your company. Let them wonder why you favor one person with your presence and not another. Create mystery not just with your words, but with your preferences. Let others question what makes someone worthy of your attention. That question is more powerful than 1,000 compliments, because once they begin to seek your approval, once they begin to qualify themselves to you, you have already won. The shift has occurred. You are no longer the pursuer, you are the standard. Even in friendship, even in mentorship, even in leadership, the principle holds. When people feel that your approval is not easily given, they treat it like gold. They work harder to keep your interest. They watch their words. They sharpen their behavior. They elevate themselves just to remain within your gaze. This is how rulers are made, not by force, but by presence, the kind of presence that is chosen, not offered. Reserved, not scattered. Powerful not because it shouts, but because it is withheld. You are not meant to be a public fountain that anyone can drink from. You are a rare wine, served only to those who can appreciate its weight. The more you are seen as selective, the more you are seen as sacred. Let them wonder what it takes to earn your presence. Let them feel that being around you is not a right, but a result of worth, of effort, of alignment. And once they feel that, once they see that not everyone gains your favor, they will chase it like men chase myths. Absence is not simply the removal of your body. It is the most powerful psychological weapon in the strategist's arsenal. When used with precision, your absence can wound more deeply than presence ever could. Most people believe they must always be around, always visible, always accessible, to maintain relevance, to be loved, to be remembered. But the truth is the opposite. The human mind is a strange and delicate thing. It values not what it holds, but what it has lost. It chases not what is offered, but what has slipped through its fingers. And if you can master the art of strategic absence, you can haunt a person's thoughts more fiercely than if you stood before them every day. You must learn to leave people hungry, not full, never full, because fullness creates forgetfulness. When someone has had enough of you, they may enjoy you, but they will not crave you. But if you vanish at the moment their desire peaks, if you retreat before they are ready to let you go, their mind does something very peculiar. It locks you in place, emotionally, spiritually, almost religiously. You become a presence frozen in their memory, not whole, not concluded, not understood. And because the mind hates incompletion, it circles back again and again, trying to resolve the story you denied them the ending to. This is where true obsession begins, in the wound of absence, not the pain of rejection. No, rejection has clarity. Absence has questions, unanswered questions. Where did they go? Did I do something wrong? Will they return? Were they ever real? The mind becomes a prisoner of its own imagination. And you become the ghost that lingers in every corner of their thoughts. You become the silence they can't escape. But this technique demands discipline, because the average person fears being forgotten. They fear disappearing. They fear becoming irrelevant, so they rush back. They break the silence. They give in to the urge to explain, to reconnect, to fill the gap they created. And in doing so, they rob their absence of its power. You must do the opposite. You must allow the absence to harden. You must allow it to age. Let it rot into their memory. Let it expand. Time is not your enemy here. Time is the tool. The longer the absence, the deeper the wound, if it was planted correctly. And what does it mean to plant it correctly? It means you must first offer enough of yourself to leave an impression, a mark, a trace of emotional resonance. Then, you vanish, you cut the cord, you walk away in silence. You do not announce your withdrawal. You simply disappear. And in that silence, every word you once spoke becomes louder. Every look you gave becomes suspicious. Every gesture is re-examined for meaning. They will begin to hear you even when you are not there. That is when you know the absence has taken root. But the wound must never fully heal. You must return just when it begins to scab over. Not with desperation, not with apology, but with poise, with presence, with that same quiet intensity that carved the scar in the first place. You appear again, not to stay, but to remind, to reopen, to reignite the pain they mistook for peace. And then you vanish once more, like a myth, like a storm that returns once every few seasons. Never expected, never forgotten. This is not cruelty. This is control. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be remembered. You are here to become a fixture in their psyche. Not through what you give, but through what you take away. The warmth you offered, then withdrew. The words you spoke, then silenced. The light you shined, then extinguished. Let them associate your absence with longing. Let them feel the echo of you like a wound that never quite closes. Because once a person links your name with emptiness, they will never forget the fullness you once brought. Would you like me to now combine all 5 expanded laws into a full, cinematic Machiavellian script with intro, hook, and closing narration in one seamless piece? You must understand, human beings are not drawn to the generous, the available, or the familiar. They are drawn to mystery, to tension, to the things just out of reach. And if you wish to rule minds, if you wish to carve your presence into their soul, then you must stop offering yourself like a servant and begin commanding yourself like a sovereign. Do not waste your brilliance in abundance. Do not spill your power across the floor hoping someone will notice. Instead, hold it back. Guard it. Starve the world of your presence. Then, when you finally decide to appear, let it feel like a prophecy fulfilled. Appear less to become more. Speak less to become unforgettable. Time your access like an addiction. Be selective to elevate your worth. And when you leave a word. A silence so loud it echoes. Because in this ruthless game of human desire, it is not love that makes them chase you. It is lack. And only those who dare to withhold are remembered forever.